Cardiff Airport has been plunged into chaos this morning as large parts of the airport's workforce have joined the union's call for strike. Following the renewed breakdown of talks between the union and the airport management, the union has announced that its members with immediate effect have gone on strike to force the airport management back to negotiations and to finally bring an acceptable offer to the table. Airlines and passengers have been caught unprepared as countless flights have been cancelled and the current situation at the airport appears to be chaotic.
$100, $50, $40, $30, $20, $10, $5.
Hello and welcome back to Cardiff Airport. The current situation at the airport has caught airlines and passengers rather unprepared. Needless to say that this morning traffic program is experiencing many challenges. Like the CRJ700 of Lufthansa. The plane had a scheduled departure time to Munich of 5 minutes past 6, but so far no efforts have been made to get the aircraft into the air. Welcome Air has one of their DO328s at the airport, and although the scheduled departure to Innsbruck is set for 8:30, it is more likely that the flight will be delayed or perhaps even cancelled. Half an hour delayed and still no ground forces in sight is the situation around this A320 of Aer Lingus. It does however look like the airline is determined to get the aircraft off the ground as soon as possible. Finally, some movement can be seen here at this Boeing 737-300 of Lufthansa that is ready to push out of the ramp. With 1.5 hours delay, passengers and crew are more than ready to get on with their flight to Frankfurt. Arriving into this chaos is the 737-800 of Marlev that right now is pulling into the ramp. It's very unlikely that the scheduled 50 minutes for today's turnaround will be enough given today's situation. All quiet and no workers inside is the situation around this A320 of Air Berlin. Passengers at the gate are on the brink, but at least there are no indications of this flight being cancelled. But when it will be ready to leave for Düsseldorf is anyone's guess. Next up, we find the 757-200 of Monarch that arrived yesterday evening from Kos and for today was scheduled to start this day's flight operations with a flight to Heraklion. This flight has however been cancelled. Then we find the 767-300 of First Choice that yesterday evening came in on a transfer flight from Birmingham. Today's flight to Sharm el-Sheikh has however now also been cancelled, leaving a lot of upset passengers at the gate. One of the few aircraft where we do find some work in progress is the 757-200 of Continental Airlines, but it is clear that the ground force is working at a rather reduced capacity, which is why 1 hour after arrival the plane is still being unloaded and an on-time departure is under threat. Also, a little activity can be found around this now 1 hour delayed A320 of Air Arabia. When the aircraft will be ready for its flight to Casablanca is however anyone's guess. Next up, we find a somewhat special visitor. It is an Avro 100 of SN Brussels Airlines, however already repainted in the company's new livery and name, Brussels Airlines. But all that is unfortunately not helping in getting the plane ready for today's flight to Brussels that with only 10 minutes to go still is waiting for any kind of ground handling. Then we find this Dash 8 of Flybe, and it does look like the aircraft is being loaded at the moment, so after 1.5 hours it might end up being possible getting the plane out for its first flight of the day to Liverpool. And in pushback and rather astoundingly on time is this Embraer ERJ145 of British Airways that, after it arrived yesterday evening from Aberdeen, now will be heading to Glasgow. And also seemingly unaffected by today's events is the 737-300F of West Atlantic UK, as it won't be leaving the airport before this evening at 8 o'clock with a flight to Aberdeen. And now, before we head out to the remote stands, it's time for the news. British Airways concern. British Airways is one of the biggest customers of the airport with a substantial regional network. Today's rumors are bound to get the airport management concerned, as it has been circulated that British Airways' regional network might be under scrutiny by the airline, which could lead to a significant reduction or even the complete closure of the airline's regional network. Due to today's chaotic events, it was not possible to get a statement from the airport management on the matter. Cirrus closes route to Mannheim via London City. The airline stated that the route closure was due to lacking demand and the airline's effort to consolidate its route network. American Airlines to become third US airline at Cardiff. Today it was announced that American Airlines will be connecting Cardiff with New York starting from the summer timetable. The airline is expected to operate the route using Boeing 757s. Just landed and expediting the runway is this Boeing 717 of Spanair. It will be interesting to see if it will be possible to turn this plane around for its return flight to Barcelona on time, but it seems unlikely. Also a likely candidate for a delayed departure is this A319 of Germanwings, but at least a bus has now pulled up with the crew that will begin its preparations for today's flight to Hamburg. While right next to it, another A319 of Germanwings is pulling into the ramp. The aircraft is arriving from Berlin-Schönefeld to where it is scheduled to return in just over 1 hour. Delayed but finally ready to go is the Avro 100 of Swiss that will bring its passengers to Geneva as soon as the plane has been pushed out of the ramp. Luckily, a pushback truck is already at the aircraft, so things should start moving momentarily. Some unhappy passengers can be found here at this Mad Dog of Iberia. After having arrived half an hour ago, passengers had to wait in the cabin until now for buses to pull up that will bring them to the terminal. This 737-800 of Travel Service has been hired in by Monarch Airlines to help out with the traffic program, but for today the plane will most likely not get very far, as this morning's flight to Mallorca has been cancelled. 5 minutes ago, this 717 of Olympic arrived from Athens. By now the stairs have been pulled up to the plane, but no bus has arrived yet. Hopefully passengers won't have to wait as long as over at the Iberia. One of the very few on-time departures this morning is this Fokker 100 of Helvetic that now is taxiing towards the runway for this morning's flight to Zurich. Also taxiing towards the runway but with 1 hour delay is the 737-700 of EasyJet that will be heading to Malaga in Spain. Taxiing to the runway with 1 hour and 45 minutes delay is this A320 of British Airways that now finally will be able to bring passengers to London Heathrow on the plane's first rotation of the day. And about to line up is this Aviation IL-76 of Silkway Airlines that had arrived yesterday evening from Istanbul and now is making its way to Dubrovnik with only 25 minutes delay from its originally scheduled departure time. Earlier this morning and before the strike had started, the S4E2 of Titan Airways arrived here at the airport. The plane has been parked at the GAT, but so far no new flight plan has been filed. Also, the Cardiff Flight School is active today and is getting ready for the first flight lessons of the day. Over at the maintenance area, we find this BA 777 that has come in for maintenance late at night, and next to the 777 we find this A300 of Novspace. After having undergone extensive maintenance and repaint last year, the plane has now returned for a scheduled checkup. Local spotters are keeping a close eye on the plane to not miss the departure. And finally, we have a British Airways ERJ145 that has undergone maintenance overnight. It has, however, not been brought back into service so far, given that most BA flights from Cardiff for the day have been cancelled. And with that, our tour around the airport grounds have come to an end. If you liked this video, then hit that like button, and if you are new around here, why not hit subscribe? With that, see you in the next episode of Cardiff.
Light me up, yeah, I'm so